Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And that's right, guys. Continuing on reviewing, the rest of the MCU shows, etc. on Disney+. Yep, finally, I'm reviewing, well, it's obvious, you read the title, and of course, reviewing the MCU shows and materials that come straight to Disney Plus in order. Yep, that's right. I am finally reviewing Secret Invasion. Yes, Secret Invasion. Oh boy. Well, first off, let me just say that I know, I'm well aware, I know that Secret Invasion, sadly, did not do that great. Why? Because I don't get it. For me, yeah, because the first things I have to say about Secret Invasion, I really thought this was pretty good. Yeah, I'm glad to have finally gotten around to watching it, and, watching all 6 episodes, that's the total for this MCU miniseries, and it did not disappoint me. It did not disappoint me at all with what was going on in this story of this MCU show on Disney+. Because the fact that we have Nick Fury, who we hadn't seen in quite a while, and seeing as how that, especially because since Spider-Man No Way Home, he had been hiding out in this space station that was constructed and built by Skrulls, and with Nick Fury being in charge there, Sabir, if I'm saying that right, So, yeah, that. But that is until a few years later, and up to the events of Secret Invasion, when Nick Fury arrives back on Earth, and, yeah, Nick Fury is not the old and same Nick Fury that we've known since the MCU began with, Iron Man, and when, say, the first Avengers film happened, not the same Nick Fury. That's because something changed him, but eventually, and yeah, clearly because towards the end of the show, he would, snap out of it, and yeah, we would see the old Nick Fury again. Just, again, I don't understand, why everybody cites this being so terrible. Because, from people like, say, some of you, me, and my mom, we come to really enjoy Secret Invasion. Again, where the story goes in Secret Invasion, and with its cast of characters, Nick Fury being the main character and focus of this MCU show. And, with a bunch of other characters that appear in this, newcomers into the MCU. From, say, Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman. Yep, definitely them. The fact that we also get Rhodey appearing in this, or so we think it's Rhodey at first. And Martin Freeman, who he appears at the beginning of the first episode, and we see him in the last episode, episode 6. Talos, a good friend of Nick Fury's, his Skrull best friend, I guess you can say. And Maria Hill appearing as well. And yeah, because Maria Hill sometimes sticking close to Nick Fury. It's a shame because, we didn't get, he just popped in my head just now, Coulson, because not much of Coulson that we had gotten since his death in the first Avengers film, but he technically came back to life, and when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. happened, and how he was briefly mentioned in Winter Soldier, and not to mention, we would get to see him on the big screen again, but only, say, in one MCU film that takes place years before, say, Iron Man, the Avengers films, and so on. And I'm, of course, referring to Captain Marvel. Well, not to mention because Secret Invasion, I guess you could say, it is a spin-off or something, or, the story with the Skrulls and Nick Fury continuing on after Captain Marvel, because, as we all recall with Captain Marvel, because that's when the Skrulls were at first thought to be the bad guys, but they really weren't. And with what Carol Danvers and Nick Fury learn about the Skrulls, and how one scroll of theirs becomes their friend, Talus, and Talus, basically giving them all the information about him and his species, his people, and from there on, and well, when trying to find a new home/planet for the scrolls, but for a while, a good chunk of them still remaining and hiding on Earth, with the help of Nick Fury and Talus. So, yeah. But little what would happen next, and in the events of Secret Invasion, a good chunk of Skrulls, going in the opposite direction and feeling betrayed by Nick Fury and Talus. The promise that they had kept to them, that they gave them, including one young Skrull who started to become kind of almost like a leader to this cult of Skrulls that have been hiding out in Russia, and But, just overall, because the first things that I have to say about Secret Invasion, I thought it was pretty good. I don't, because no offense, but, but it's obvious, some toxic Marvel fans and how they've felt with some MCU materials, like rather if it's a movie or a show, but what can you do? But for those like me and my mom, we really enjoy Secret Invasion, and again, is it really the worst? Is it really the worst, like say, after the Eternals? Now, if you've seen my review of the Eternals, you know how I felt towards that one piece of MCU movie material, but anyways. But like I said, for me, I don't hate Secret Invasion. I thought this was pretty good, and the direction it was taking, what more do I have to say? Okay, so, as always, read the description / the story. Nick Fury learns of a secret invasion of Earth by a faction of shape-shifting Skrulls. Fury joins his allies, and together they race against time to thwart, I'm having trouble pronouncing that word again, you know me sometimes, an imminent Skrull invasion and save humanity. And, so there's that, the description of what this Marvel show is like. Now again, the total of episodes for Secret Invasion are 6. Episode 1, Resurrection. Episode 2, Promises. Episode 3, Betrayed. Episode 4, Beloved. Episode 5, Harvest. And Episode 6, Home. So, I'll go ahead and read the descriptions of these episodes. Episode 1, Resurrection. Nick Fury takes himself out of retirement when he discovers a clandestine, I think I'm saying that right, alien invasion of Earth. Episode 2, Promises. Following a dramatic attack, Fury must grapple with his past and present as the Skrull invasion begins. Tensions rise between Fury and his former allies as he tries to figure out the scale of the threat. Okay, and description / story for Episode 3. Fury uncovers a rebel Skrull plot that is more dangerous than anything he's encountered before Gaia attempts to run away from Gravik. Now, Episode 4. Fury is forced to make some hard sacrifices. Gravik and the rebel Skrulls attack the U.S. president's convoy in Russia. Okay, now, Episode 5. Fury gathers his allies as a red notice is issued for him. Gravik deals with unrest amongst the invading Skrulls. And finally, Episode 6, Home. All the future and all the hope of humanity rests on the shoulders of Nick Fury. Okay, so getting into the show itself, and, I'm just basically talk random and just, you get my point, and as you watch this review. So, like I said, by this point in the events of Secret Invasion, because Skrulls just basically roaming around Earth almost, and some of the locations in Secret Invasion, well, from New York, obviously, Washington, Paris, London, and also Moscow and Finland and Russia, as was mentioned. The fact that anyone, just anyone on Earth could possibly be a Skrull. And when we find out a little later on that there are those, like, big people in the U.S. government that have been captured by the Skrulls, and Skrulls that are pretending to be those people in the government. Well, it's like, in episode 1, because, Martin Freeman, once again playing Agent Everett Ross, Agent Ross, for short, just Agent Ross. We think it's Ross, but, at a certain point, like, we realize that it's not really Ross, especially when someone's chasing him. And, where's the real Ross? And, the fact that we don't see the real Ross until the very end of the last episode. And, and to name off some of the other cast members, as mentioned, Martin Freeman, Maria Hill once again being played by Kobe Smudlers. I think, I'm getting her mostly her first name right. And Nick Fury once again being played by good old Samuel L. Jackson. And by the way, he was an executive producer on this show. That's really cool. And fun fact, as I most of the time do, talk about fun facts. Samuel L. Jackson stated that there were some drones, maybe just one, I want to say, where, flying over and, like, basically getting shots of them filming, and, well, because of the fact that they're, as we all know with Marvel Studios, them keeping their stuff top secret for any new Marvel project in the MCU, they had to shoot down a drone, and they caught the guy who was flying the drone, because as Samuel L. Jackson said, yep, we got him, so, yeah. Not a good idea the next time you try to do that. Yeah. Take from what that guy did, flying a drone, so... They're very top secret, with what they do. Not just them, but even, hey, Lucasfilm as well. It's Star Wars we're talking about. Anyway, so again, Nick Fury returning back after being on the space station for a long time, and again, he's not the same Nick Fury that he used to be and that we had come to know so well. And this is because, after the events of Infinity War and Endgame, with the snap of Thanos, as it's referred to, the blip, after the events of that, and when Nick Fury and everybody else came back from the blip in the events of Endgame, something changed in Nick Fury. Not to mention, a bit of his wardrobe is different almost throughout the entirety of this show. Like, not wearing the iconic, like, black clothing and the eye patch and such. Oh, this time he's wearing, like, a beanie and just, like, regular wardrobe, I guess. Again, just not the same Fury that we have come to know. And also, as was mentioned, Rhodey. Rhodey once again being played by Don Cheadle, and, or so we think. So we think it's Rhodey. And the other characters, because, the main antagonist of Secret Invasion, and who would be leading these rebel Skrulls, Gravik, and Gravik being played by Kingsley Ben Eder, if I'm saying his last name right, I don't know, but yeah. Gravik, I think, was a pretty good villain. The fact that he, all his life, and since the Skrulls, most of the Skrulls remained on Earth after the events of Captain Marvel, but the fact that, because Gravik, he later on felt betrayed when it seemed like, Fury and Talos, they did not keep their promise with what they were going to do. And Gravik becoming twisted and evil, and whom he would grow up to be, and leading these rebel Skrulls, and them hiding out in Russia, But overall, Gravik was a pretty good villain, and God, what he and the rest of those Skrulls were plotting, their evil schemes, and also, a part of those rebel Skrulls, Gaia, and Gaia being played by, as mentioned, Emilia Clarke. And who doesn't love Emilia Clarke? And she is a perfect addition in the MCU. I think that, with her as the character of Gaia, pretty good. How, you know, she, for a little while at the start of the show, was joining the dark side and, you know, a part of the rebel Skrulls led by Gravik. But a little later on, she would realize and wake up to see that, yeah, she was making a mistake, and the talk that she gets from her father, which being Talos. And yeah, to go ahead and mention him, yeah, Talos once again being played by Ben Mendelsohn, if I'm saying his last name right, yeah, like the British Skrull, I guess you could say. Yeah. And let's not forget to mention, you know, what a great actor he is, because he had been in Dark Knight Rises, and he was also director Krennic in Rogue One, as well as in Season 2 of Andor. Yeah. And any other time, and a couple of other times that he reprised the role of Krennic in Star Wars. But anyways, yeah. So Talos, and at a certain point, yeah, Nick Fury and Talos reuniting, and well, same goes for Maria Hill, and another new face that steps in, Sonya Falsworth, yeah, and being played by good old Olivia Colman, yeah, and she too, being a nice addition to the MCU, and the character that she plays, Sonya, oh, just fantastic. And even I was talking about this with my mom, where I feel as though, and I'm probably right, that the character of Sonya is like a Nick Fury wannabe, with what she does, very similar to what Nick Fury has done as well. Like, just randomly popping up in places and doing, you know, some heroic stuff. You know what I mean? Just, yeah. Same thing that Nick Fury has done. And they've known each other for quite a while. And when they reunite and the conversation that they have, just, yeah. And as the show proceeds, like, the information and details that Fury finds out, you know, as the show proceeds, and with the help of his allies from Talos, Maria Hill, and at times Sonya, and even when, like, say, Rhodey is sometimes on Fury's tail, especially because the White House, the government, is aware of Nick Fury's return from the space station, and the president, the current president, you know, during the events of Secret Invasion, being President Ritson, if I'm saying that right, being played by Dermot Mulroney, if I'm getting that right. And, yeah, if I'm correct, because after the character of Ritson would be the president, well, we know who would be next. Ross, yeah. So, Thunderbolt Ross, you know, Harrison Ford. But anyways, him being one of the next presidents after this guy. But anyways, so again, them being aware of Nick Fury's return, and, you know, because of what happens with Nick Fury later on, and not to mention, because, yeah, because, you know, in episode 1, because, you know, man, I tell you, because it's a few major deaths in this show. The first one, well, being in episode 1, and to think that this happens, this one of these big major deaths in the first episode of Secret Invasion, like, already? Just, well, because in Moscow, because them tracking down, you know, keeping watch on any Skrull that will emerge, and, well, some Skrulls are planning to set off some bombs in Moscow, and even when, you know, Talos tried to convince his daughter on on whose side that she has been on, and the mentioning of the passing of her mother, and, well, and being his wife, and, yeah, just, it's sad, you know, and well, because, like I said, as the show proceeds, you know, Gaia starting to join the good side again, and helping out her father, as well as Nick Fury, and so on. But with, you know, them in Moscow, and, like, trying to stop those that are planning to set off bombs, and, well, doesn't go that great, and even when, say, yeah, panic erupts, and with the bombs going off, and when at a certain point, Maria Hill, you know, comes face to face with Nick Fury, or if it is Nick Fury, well, because no. And judging by his attitude, that's clearly not him, especially when out of the blue, Nick Fury freaking shoots Maria Hill, literally dead. And yeah, that's not Nick Fury, and well, that was Gravik pretending to be Nick Fury and pretty much like trying to frame Nick Fury for the murder of Maria Hill. And oh gosh, so heartbreaking when Nick Fury is telling Maria Hill right as she dies that it wasn't him that killed her. It's very similar to, like, say, in Logan, when, you know, the Logan clone killed Charles Xavier, and when the Logan, you know, was assuring Charles that it wasn't him. You see what I mean? Like, that's a good example right there. And yeah, Maria Hill freaking dies, and why? That, like, she was such a great character. Why'd they have to do it? Well, you know, unless they could find a way to bring her back, you know. But anyways, I'm sure though. But yeah, anyways, but you know, just overall, I mean, the first episode was pretty good. And even, you know, when continuing on the show, because, well, a funeral service happens for Maria Hill, her body being transported. And, well, we do get the appearance of Maria Hill's mother. Yeah, Maria Hill's mother makes an appearance, and yeah, I mean, yeah, that's nice to see that her mother, the character of Maria Hill's mother, is credited as Maria Hill's mom. And Maria Hill's mother being played by Juliet Stevenson, and her calmly, well, you know, almost, I mean, she doesn't really get that physical and so on with Nick Fury, but just basically telling Fury that Maria Hill, her daughter looked up to Fury and would have done anything, even, like, you know, crossing the gates of hell and so on. And, you know, she even tells Fury that, you know, whatever it is, like, you know, like, she can't die this way, and just, you know, and avenge her and just, you know, keep going. That's that kind of talk that she gives to Nick Fury. Yeah. Again, it's really a shame that they had to kill off Maria Hill. Yeah. And not to mention that, apparently, and somehow, because footage of Nick Fury, supposedly Fury, being the one that killed Maria Hill, there's footage of that, and Rhodey, because at times Rhodey encountering and chatting with Fury. In fact, because at one point Rhodey approaching Nick Fury, telling him that he has been fired, and this has to do with what happened in Moscow, and not to mention with supposedly it was him that killed Maria Hill. And, you know, obviously, like, for Rhodey and the others in the government being aware of these scrolls and them pretending to be people and such, but they're not really sure, and, like, they don't believe Nick Fury and so on, just that it wasn't him, and it was someone disguised as him that killed Maria Hill, which, of course, that being a Skrull. And at a certain point, you start to realize that, well, yeah, because is that really Rhodey? Well, at a certain point, we see that it's not Rhodey. No. For a while, and apparently, because as the show establishes, for a while, a Skrull has been pretending to be Rhodey. Well, where the heck is the real Rhodey? And when did this begin? Seriously. And how the show establishes it, which I'll talk more about that later once I get to the final episode. But yeah. So yeah, Nick Fury still hiding and traveling through different places and locations, and with what else goes on with the characters, like, you know, with, say, the Rebel Skrulls, them hiding out in Russia, and Gravik and what he's planning to do next. And not to mention, there's a sequence where, you know, Gravik meets with the other Skrulls pretending to be other, you know, big people and such, like Chris Stearns being played by Christopher McDonald, and there's also Kriga being played by Ermina Kova, if I'm saying her last name right. And there's the Italian Prime Minister, played by Severo Buono, I think, yeah. And the FSB commander, and Shirley Sager, played by Sita Indrani, and the FSB commander being played by Vince Stalavyankov, if I'm getting that right. Again, you know me sometimes. And there's also, and to name off some of the other characters, well, there's Pagan, there's Beto, Pagan being played by Killian Scott, Beto being played by Samuel Adewunmi, if I'm getting that right, and Rosa being played by Katie Finneran. Yeah, and yeah, so again, one sequence where Gravik meets with these other big top Skrulls, being these pretending to be these people, this Skrull Council, and when Gravik is promoted as General, the General of the Skrulls, yeah, and yeah, and also because there were two like doctors and professors, like, you know, that were captured, and the Skrulls pretending to be them. Yeah, so. And even when, like, say, at a certain point, Nick Fury, and even, like, early on, there was a bit of an argument and tussle between Fury and Talos when Fury learns and discovers the truth about Skrulls. A lot of Skrulls roaming around Earth and stuff like that, and, you know, Fury setting Talos, well, each of them setting each other straight, because, you know, you know, there can never be peace between the humans and the Skrulls on Earth. You know, with the Skrulls being present on the planet Earth, and just, yeah, not good. So yeah, a bit tough for each of them, how good friends they are, and just the argument that they get to, yeah. But yeah, and also I was gonna say, because, you know, like, at the very end of episode 2, because, well, Nick Fury, he reunites with his Skrull wife, that being Priscilla, and Priscilla being played by Sherilyn Woodard, if I'm getting her last name right, which, by the way, she had worked with Samuel L. Jackson before in the Unbreakable trilogy, you know, M. Night Shyamalan, Unbreakable, Split, Glass, but mainly because with her and Samuel L. Jackson, them appearing in Unbreakable and Glass, and, well, her playing the on-screen mother of Mr. Glass. That's kind of funny and just weird, like, you know, she played an on-screen mother to Samuel L. Jackson, and now she plays an on-screen wife to him. That's weird, but, you know. That's not the first time something like that has happened, right? So, anyways. So, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, him reuniting with his Skrull wife, and, well, like with all the other Skrulls on Earth, her in disguise as a human. Yeah, a beautiful woman, and, again, being the wife of Nick Fury. And I tell you, the chemistry and the romance that Priscilla and Nick Fury have, pretty good. I mean, you know, because with what's going on with them, especially up at the events of Secret Invasion, yeah. In fact, because later on, Priscilla is given direct orders from Gravik to kill her hubby and such, yeah. Because later on, there are plans for Nick Fury to be gunned down, and yeah, not to mention Rhodey being involved on this, in this, when, yeah, because we see later on that it's not actually the Rhodey, it's a Skrull. Apparently it's a female Skrull, because there's one scene where the Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, you know, after getting out of a shower, well, put the towel right up to here, you know, covering her boobs, obviously. So, yeah, apparently a female Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, I guess. I don't know. But anyways. Even I think, yeah, I did, obviously I noticed this where, we all know, of course, that the Rhodey, and what happened to him in Civil War when he fell, and his leg got injured. Well, because with, like, the special, like, cast and such that he had to wear, and for it to help him walk, you know, because we know that, but when seeing the Skrull that had been pretending to be Rhodey, well, we do not see that Skrull wearing anything. I mean, as I recall, yeah, for a while and after the events of Civil War, and even up to, say, well, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, Rhodey was still wearing that. So, how is it that... I find it impossible to think that all this time and after the events of Civil War, a Skrull was pretending to be Rhodey, I don't know. But more on that when I get to that, because when we actually see the Rhodey and what has happened to him, along with the others, including Martin Freeman, Agent Ross, yeah. But yeah, so again, as I said, like the chemistry between Priscilla and Fury, pretty good, and because the romance they have. Also, I think like 2 or 3 times we get a couple of flashbacks, because the first one that we see, well, because in the 1990s and after the events of Captain Marvel, well, because what happens next for the Skrulls, a good chunk of them still remaining on Earth, and what Nick Fury and Talos address and, assure the Skrulls what they're going to do, and, they promise them because what they're going to do, and eventually, because, when they can leave Earth and they have a new home world for themselves, and the same thing that Captain Marvel has been doing and such, yeah. But like I said, because later on in the show, what Gravik would do, and all the other Skrulls that would become, fugitives, I guess you can say, but they're rebels. Yeah. And another flashback we get, taking place in 2012, and this is after the events of the first Avengers film, and Nick Fury meets with his wife, they have dinner, and a little bit of a discussion about, the events of the Avengers, and something that she brings up to her hubby, and which would be mentioned a couple of times, a book that she read, and basically having to do something with, beloved, and her being his beloved. That whole thing. Yeah, very sweet. And just, yeah, the chemistry and the love that they have for one another, pretty good. But the situations that they're in currently, and when, because, Priscilla is given orders to gun down her hubby, and when that comes, because, well, in the house that they had been living, and when, because they confront one another, and the dialogue that each of them have, and when it seems like, she may do it, and Nick Fury learning about this, even when he is listening through this like on an earpiece, a conversation that Rhodey, the Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, has with Priscilla at a church, and about Rhodey, about him gonna be gunned down, yeah. And as the conversation continued with Nick Fury and his wifey, well, they did fire off. Each of them did fire off the guns that they had. And when I was watching that, I literally said to myself, "Are you serious? Like, what's gonna happen? Just like, okay, surely Nick Fury wouldn't be killed, but maybe Priscilla." But no, they actually didn't shoot at one another. They just shoot off to the sides, and shot holes through the walls and such, including like these masks that were hanging on a wall. A hole went through one of them, like there was a hole, just. But in the end, everything's okay between them. But they have to separate, and still with the situations that they're in, and how, Priscilla will be hunted down and be tracked down, but for her, and as she establishes to her hubby that she can take care of herself, she's a big girl. Yeah, and continuing on to speed things up, like. More on Gaia, because, well, still, her slowly but surely realizing the mistake that she found herself in, joining, Gravik's side, and even at a certain point, the other Skrulls that have been hiding out in Russia, they slowly but surely start to turn on Gravik, and they can't take his leadership anymore. They at a certain point, they come to disagree with his leadership and what he's doing. And even when, because, Gravik, he made a promise to them, and with the death of Nick Fury, which didn't happen. And even when, say, Gravik, something that he's plotting. He is planning for, he and his fellow Skrulls to become super Skrulls, basically, to steal some DNA from, Captain Marvel, as well as all the other Avengers. Yeah, and they've managed, however they did it, but they just did, they've managed to steal a good chunk of DNA from almost the entirety of the Avengers, like from, say, some of the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel, I think also, yeah, the Hulk, as well as Steve Rogers. Well, yeah, obviously that. Yeah, and this thing called the Harvest, because that's another way to put at it, and what Gravik needs to complete this experiment, and with, becoming a super Skrull and for the other Skrulls. But again, at a certain point, the Skrulls turning against Gravik, and even when they try to take him down, they try to kill him and beat him down, but sadly, they don't stand a chance between Gravik. He's becoming more powerful, and him taking some of his fellow Skrulls down, and willing to kill them if they do not cooperate, and if they do not follow his commands and stuff like that. And even when, because, yeah, Gaia was starting to turn against Gravik, and, when Gravik at one point in the show confronted Gravik when she was leaving the hideout on a motorcycle, and, him right there, and, at one point he guns her down, and we think that she's dead. Well, no, because we see early on that she did something in preparation for when she obviously knew that she was more likely going to get shot down by Gravik, in which she did, becoming powerful and managing to, not die, and, some special, healing powers. And with the technology that the Rebel Skrulls have in their hideout, And coming back to, say, Sonya, what Sonya does at times in this show, well, her too trying to, get information and details and clues on what's going on, and with the Skrulls in Russia and stuff like that, and with, whom is, doing these experiments and stuff like that. Yeah. And, and just, again, Olivia Colman as Sonya, just such a good character. Who doesn't love Olivia Colman? And again, just when she confronts those, the Skrulls, and to name off some of the other cast members, well, because there's, say, Pamela Lawton being played by Anya Medley. There's Nato Sekjen Kaspani, if I'm getting that right, being played by Giam Peros Sudasa, and, and to speed things up still, because, still, with what goes on with Nick Fury and his allies, and still, them trying to, do whatever it takes to stop Gravik, but at a certain point in the show, the president being targeted, and later on, they believe and they point fingers at Russia, thinking that Russia themselves has something to do with this, when it's really the Skrulls that, have been hiding out in Russia are pretending to be the Russians. And when the president is being gunned down and there's an ambush, and, Rhodey being involved in this, but they don't know that, and they don't know it's that Rhodey is not Rhodey. It's a Skrull pretending to be him. And when Nick Fury and Talos show up, and they try to help the president, and while the battle happens between all the soldiers and 8 guards, protecting the president, and when the car that the president was in was flipped, but he's okay, he didn't die, but, very wounded. And Fury and Talos, they tried to help and to get the president out of there, and, Talos trying to break down the car window, even when at one point he did get shot, wounded, and he's stopping at nothing to break down the window. And even when one of the U.S. soldiers, they noticed that, there's an alien, a Skrull, is breaking down the car window where the president is, but Fury addressing to him that he's with us, he's good, and very smart on that soldier for listening. And eventually, Talos, breaks the window, and Fury helping the president get out of there, and Talos being severely wounded, and when Fury, told him that he'll come back for him, and, he'll get treated. Well, the soldier who was almost going to shoot down Talos, very nice of him, because he's helping out Talos, But it doesn't take us that long to realize that is it that exact same soldier? Nope, because it's somebody, it's a Skrull, and when Fury is ordering the soldier to, let go of Talos, and when, gun pointing, and when, well, it's revealed that, yeah, it's Gravik, and when Talos tried to, stop Gravik, but in the end, and, well, another major death, and why did they have to kill him too? Gravik kills and murders Talos. Why him too? First Hill, and now Talos. And Talos was a great character, and it's really a shame, I gotta say, because, obviously, and despite the fact that this show, to a lot of people, it was suckish, surely, because, some good things that came from this, especially some sad moments, from the deaths of Hill and Talos. Seriously, just, yeah. And, yeah, it's a shame. And the episode ending with, Talos's body being left behind, and, yeah, and the president being taken off to a hospital. Yeah, so, and in the last 2 episodes, because, well, this is where slowly but surely things start to really get intense, and with the, the tenseful stuff and the climax, yeah. Again, the president being taken to a hospital, while Nick Fury, because still, doing whatever it takes to stop Gravik and the other Skrulls. And even when, because for Gaia, she is aware that her father was killed. And when Nick Fury met with Gaia, and even Nick Fury told Gaia that to meet with Priscilla, and Priscilla would be the one to help out Gaia, bury her father, and a proper burial and a funeral for her daddy. So yeah, and the chemistry that a little bit that Gaia and Priscilla have, not bad, especially because Priscilla setting Gaia straight on stuff that Gaia thinks that she's right about. Well, she is still young, and she thinks that she's right on some certain things, but no, not really. But yeah, just again, the what goes on with Gaia and Priscilla, and when they they manage to get the body of Talos, give him a proper send off, a burial, funeral, yeah, and the Skrull language that they sometimes speak, yeah, especially when Talos's funeral happens, yeah, and them speaking in Skrull language. And for Nick Fury, because still, him still doing whatever it takes to, and will stop at nothing to defeat Gravik, and also prove that it's not actually Rhodey, and he knows at a certain point that it's not Rhodey. It's a Skrull pretending to be Rhodey. And a few times where we do see Rhodey interact with Gravik, and the plans that they're going to do and what they're going to do next. Just, yeah. And when Sonya once again steps in and helps out Nick Fury, yeah. And even when Nick Fury had to sneak his way, into Finland. And I should have seen it coming, because where he was in disguise as an older gentleman. And yeah, it was pretty funny, because, yeah, surely he's credited, yeah. Okay. And to name off some of the other characters, like, did I already mention her? I don't think so. Rosa. Rosa being played by Katie Finneran, yeah, because, yeah, she's one of the doctors, but, a Skrull pretending to be her. Also, he only appeared in 2 episodes in this, Derek, and when it turns out that Derek is a Skrull, and Derek being played by Tony Curran. Now, he's done a lot of great films and stuff like that, and for us Whovians, Doctor Who, well, we would remember him best as Vincent in the episode Vincent. Yeah, Vincent the Painter, oh yeah, he was good in that, and his portrayal as Vincent, spot on. And I also remember he was also in something else MCU. an uncredited role. I forget what it was. Just in case if I remember to do so, I'll put the name of it in a text, like another MCU piece of material that he was in. But this time he gets to play, a proper character, and in disguised as, well, Derek, and when it's revealed that he is a Skrull, thanks to Sonya when she confronts him. So yeah, even like, say, when she confronted one of the other Skrulls, and it was Pagan, yeah, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, and the confrontation that she has with him, confronting him, and even when, proving and just forcing him to reveal himself as a Skrull by cutting one of his own fingers. Jeez. Well, that's one way to do something like that. Geez, Sonya, like a dark twist, dark stuff that with her, and just not intentionally, but still, like, she's on to him. She's on to the Skrulls, and the information that she tries to get out of him, and when she's almost like, torturing him, just, yeah. And when ultimately he was trying his, pardon my French, he was trying his damnest not to say anything, and the risk that he would get killed by Gravik, which in the end, sadly, yeah, he meets his demise, because he did give some information to Sonya, and yeah, so shot dead, yeah, out in the woods. So it's a shame. But anyways, so yeah, again, Nick Fury meeting up with Sonya in Finland, yeah, and again, Fury was in disguise. He managed to sneak his way through the airport and not be identified as Nick Fury, because yeah, Nick Fury kind of being framed, but not quite, because apparently, and as fake Rhodey establishes to Fury, the footage of him, supposedly him, gunning down Maria Hill, not being shown to the public yet. There's still time, and yeah. So it's not happened quite yet. And yeah, so Fury and Sonya, meeting up with each other, and near the end of the second to last episode, coming to a gravesite that has Nick Fury's name on it. But something about that tombstone, and blowing on it, and it triggers, some machinery and such in this tombstone, and the harvest, I presume, yeah, he collects that, and also going into a small mausoleum, I guess you can say, yeah, and collecting his gear, putting on his iconic black clothing on and such, his jacket, and his eye patch, oh yeah. And basically whips out a phone and says that, it's time. Just, yeah, a good way to end it off there. And in the final episode, and also, can't forget to mention, because, the Tombstone of Furies, because he and his hubby choosing to live in Finland and so on, and with, a tombstone that he has, and as I recall, there are multiple other tombstones of his, but just, yeah, and this is especially after the blip happened, so, yeah. Anyways, yeah, because, golly, after they got killed by the blip, because, all of their names, being on a tombstone and stuff like that, even when Scott, aka the Ant-Man, he discovers that and learns that he is presumed to have been dead as well by the blip, but no, because being trapped in the quantum realm and so on, yeah, he managed to survive for 5 hours, but, he was, to everybody, from, what happens to them, 5 years passed, but for him, 5 hours passed, so, yeah, anyways. So, yeah, again, coming back to the final episode, again, which being home, this is where things really get good. And, the climax and everything is approaching. And with Nick Fury making his way, made his way into Russia, I should say. Sorry, Russia. And, making his way to, the hideout where the rebel Skrulls are, and also with the aid of Sonya. And we at least presume that Nick Fury is at the Skrull hideout. And when confronting Gravik and, bringing the harvest, and back at the hospital where the president is, well, the president is in danger. And even when Sonya is present and she calls up Rhodey about the president being in danger because of Nick Fury. Now, obviously, yeah, Sony is setting up Rhodey. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, she starts to realize, too, that it's not the Rhodey, and because Nick Fury was also telling her about this as well. So the president being taken upstairs to the hospital to protect him, and well, at times we see some of the Secret Service men being not killed but tranquilized. Yeah, that's what we see. But who's tranquilizing them, so to speak? We don't see. But I think, yeah, and whom it is and who's also present at the hospital, obviously that probably was his doing, tranquilizing them. But when coming back to Fury and being at the hideout of the Skrulls, and again, confronting Gravik and the dialogue that each of them have, and Gravik just going on to Fury about the promise that he and Talos had made to them, but, they didn't keep it, at a certain point, and how Gravik and the others felt. But with what Nick Fury says in response and setting Gravik straight and, well, about to give him the harvest and all the DNA that contains from the Avengers to Captain Marvel, and telling Gravik that Fury doesn't give a damn, which planet he goes to, and by wiping out the planet's species, just telling Gravik and the other Skrulls to, pardon my French, to get the hell off of planet Earth. Pretty much, because with what they're going to do on Earth, and not to mention, a nuclear missile is going to be launched. The world is at stake right now in the final episode. And, well, this special machine that was built, and this has to do with becoming Super Skrulls, yeah, and both of them being in this machine, and it's turned on, and, yeah, just, we hear the grunting, and, because of what happens with both Gravik and Fury, but also, back at the hospital, well, Sonya, by this point, has Rhodey, gun pointed, and, yeah, she knows that it's not really Rhodey, and, of course, the Skrull pretending to be Rhodey is not gonna give in, and is still, convincing the president that he's the Rhodey, and, well, we happen to see that Fury, at the Skrull hideout, and when it seemed like Fury was kind of getting sick, and he was coughing, he had a bad cough, and he was kind of struggling, well, it's not actually Fury. It's Gaia. Yeah, because apparently, and assuming, because Fury got Gaia to, disguise as him and to go into the Skrull hideout, while he and Sonya both being present at the hospital, and clearly because that was Nick Fury that did the tranquilizing darts and such on the Secret Service. So yeah, all that time, and, in the Skrull hideout, when Nick Fury approached, it wasn't actually him, it was Gaia. And her getting a whip of the Super Skrull and becoming a Super Skrull, and same goes for Gravik, and the fight that happens between Gravik and Gaia, and their hands, changing and forming, like say Gaia, having Drax arm, and I also noticed, Gravik, there's a little bit of Groot, and I know, there was a bit of Hulk, and a little bit of, and there was some of Captain Marvel, and I think Thor as well, and I think, wasn't there a bit of Loki in there too, because, my point being is that Gaia, we see that, one of her hands, turns, frozen and such, very pointy, so, yeah. Because, Loki being a frost giant, but no, I don't think so, no. But still, that's what it was that Gaia had. And, back at the hospital, because Fury, trying to get the president to listen to him, that it's not Rhodey, and telling the president that all of those people in the government, from Rhodey, Agent Ross, and, from Rosa, because, it wasn't them. There were Skrulls pretending to be them, and, The president finding this hard to believe, and he doesn't know what to do, just like kind of like at times pointing the gun at either Rhodey or Fury. But ultimately, well, the Skrull pretending to be Rhodey does do something, like, punching, like, Sonya, and was about to shoot them, but Fury was quick enough to shoot at the Skrull pretending to be Rhodey. And, well, the president sees that, yeah, Rhodey was a Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, and now he knows the truth, and he asks them to get a phone and to call off the planned nuclear missile launch, and just, yeah. And then, Gaia, and because with the fight that goes on between her and Gravik, well, in the end, Gaia did, and she was the one, finally kills and defeats Gravik once and for all. Gravik is finally done for. Yeah, nice to see. And it's a shame that he never gave in. He never gave in, and he never woke up from being twisted and evil. Just, yeah, one of those things. But yeah. But after that, Gaia proceeding to wake up all of those that were, kept, and the Skrulls pretending to be them. Again, from, say, Rosa, Agent Ross, and Rhodey. And according to Gaia, she says to Rhodey that he had been hidden and, being held prison, as a prisoner for a long time. And again, there are those that believe that Rhodey has been unconscious and kept as a prisoner since the events of Civil War. Again, I just don't see how that's possible, like I said early on. And that would just seem too much, right? Because, again, the next time we would see Rhodey, especially up at the events of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, he still has that, special, cask and mechanical piece that he has to help him walk. We still saw him with that. So I believe, and I'm guessing, somewhere after the events of Endgame, a little later on, he probably must have been captured and, well, unconscious and stuff like that. And what would happen, say, in Secret Invasion? You see what I mean? That seems to make sense, and why go with that? We should go with that, come on, just, And besides, if it is the case, Rhodey has been unconscious and stuff like that since Civil War, and he woke up for the first time, and boy, has he missed a lot, and probably just, would just be heartbroken by the things that he had missed out on, most notably, the death of his best friend, Tony Stark. Yeah, but like I said, I believe, and I am to guess, that after the events of Endgame, he was captured, and so on, yeah. So, in the end, everything's okay now, and, the Skrulls are technically at peace, although because some protesters going after those who are pretending to still be Skrulls, most notably, say, Christopher McDonald, but there are a couple of others, yeah, where they get gunned down, and turns out that some of them are not Skrulls, yeah. And even the president, what he had to say on international TV and such, a speech he gave about the Skrulls and stuff like that, and Nick Fury was not happy with what he said on national TV, but, the president basically confronting Nick Fury on the phone that, to get the Skrulls, if you care about your Skrulls, get them off my planet. Well, it's not just your planet, just, geez. And even when at one point, Gaia meets with Sonya for the first time, and Sonya offering Gaia to join her and to do what Nick Fury and her late father failed at doing with the Skrulls and stuff like that. Just, yeah. So yeah, and in the end, well, Nick Fury is once again about to leave Earth and go back to the space station. And, well, his wifey meeting with him, and, because, the last bit of dialogue that we get from them, and Fury asking her to go with her back at the station, and another mentioning of, her being his beloved and so on. Yeah. And in the end, well, she turns herself back into her actual form, Skrull, and a kiss that they share, and well, yeah, because she joins him going back to the space station, and yeah, what a nice way to end it. But despite the fact, because, with what the president said to Nick Fury and about the Skrulls, just, yeah, not quite a happy ending right there, because, but at the same time, yeah, but overall, it was still a nice way to end it off, especially for Nick Fury and his love interest. Yeah, so yeah. Secret Invasion. Yeah, again, I really enjoyed Secret Invasion. And again, I don't get why a lot of people view this being suckish and stuff like that. Come on, is it really that bad? Is it really that bad since the Eternals? And this isn't the first time, because it's like, once in a while, we would get something good from the MCU, and then the next, and, same thing, just, good, and just, yeah, but come on. And like I said, not just me, my mom, and I'm sure some of you as well, come to really enjoy Secret Invasion. The story that happens in Secret Invasion is good, the cast of characters, some familiar faces that we get, new faces that step in to the MCU, most notably those being Olivia Colman and Emilia Clarke, and also Christopher McDonald being one of them as well, and yeah, and the rest. And not to mention, all 6 episodes being directed by Ali Selim, if I'm saying his full name right. Yeah, that's pretty cool that he directed all 6 of them, because most of the time, like, some of the MCU shows would be directed by a few directors. Like, maybe, like, one director would direct maybe, like, 2 or 3 episodes, I guess, and I think you get my point, yeah. But for this guy, directing all 6, that's pretty cool. The music and score, pretty good too. The funny and emotional moments, the unexpected just deaths that happen in this, and with the twists and reveals, and just all the action going on, and the intenseful stuff, some good visual effects, and not to mention the opening credits. I thought the opening credits were pretty good. And I know, okay, good thing I'm now remembering to mention this about the opening credits. Yes, of course, I'm aware, because, if it wasn't bad enough for Secret Invasion getting some hate, well, a good majority of hate, I should say, some, the opening credits, because, yeah, the opening credits were done with the use of AI, but I think, and there are those, even my mom thinks this way too, that the use of AI for the opening credits, like the animation that happens in the opening credits, it seems acceptable because of the vibe and feel and what goes on in Secret Invasion, imposters, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I know that there have been some others online that have talked about this very detailedly, and I'm sure you get my point, the best I can say, because I think the use of AI for the opening credits in Secret Invasion seem acceptable because, again, the vibe and feel and with what goes on in Secret Invasion, it seems acceptable and it makes sense, does it not? So I'm just saying, But, yeah, just overall, Secret Invasion, I think, was pretty good. Not bad at all. Sadly, it may not be the best, but I think there were some good things that came in this one MCU show on Disney+. And again, with some familiar faces being the main focus of this MCU show, where the story was going, etc. Yeah, what more do I have to say? Secret Invasion, I think, was pretty good. And I'm giving Secret Invasion, yeah, this sounds about right. I'm giving it, 7 out of 10 stars. Yes, 7 out of 10 stars for Secret Invasion. And what about you guys? What did you think of Secret Invasion itself? Is there any of you that came to really enjoy Secret Invasion and the direction it was taking and with its story? And well, because clearly, with what goes on in Secret Invasion, clearly coming from the Marvel Comics and what they brought to Secret Invasion, yeah. And with its cast of characters, the shocking unexpected moments and with the deaths and the twists and so on, the action, just, yeah. Overall, what do you think of Secret Invasion itself, and with what I've had to say, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Marvel's Secret Invasion. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video / review. Take care, and until the next piece of MCU material on Disney+, which being Loki Season 2. Peace out, and Avengers, assemble.